Hello, welcome back to the channel of nonsense and typical British Sunday afternoon of a Japanese hyperbike in front of a good old game of knocking leather on willow. They've actually just asked me to move because I parked in line with the wicket, and apparently that is not the done thing if you've got a pearl white 190 horsepower long low rebirth of a Japanese icon. I think it's in the rules of cricket. I think wisdom says that. But anyway, yes, it is Hayabusa time. Yeah, and just been out for a little ride with my mate on this first proper ride. So this is kind of a first impressions video. It's not my full review. And it's a weird bike. It's a fantastic machine. It's just slightly from an era that I miss, and I know lots of other people probably miss as well, the era of the hyperbike. I used to own a Honda Blackbird, and most of this video is probably going to be me withering on about that and how much I miss it, because this just feels like, well, just feels like a bike I used to have, a bike I used to love. It's kind of silly. It's very, very fast, and it hides its speed very well. But really, first impressions of this bike when I got on it and I picked it up in Milton Keynes a couple of weeks ago now, it's so smooth and it's so nice to ride a big capacity inline 4 that has been designed with torque in mind rather than just peak horsepower and flighty reviness. And I guess that's kind of the thing about the Hayabusa. See the anti-wheelie control flashing away there. Yeah, this is the Hayabusa reborn with electronics, with, well, pretty much everything it used to have, pretty much the same power. It's just a hyper barge, but it handles really quite nicely for what it is. And again, I don't want to review it right now. I just kind of want to talk about it a bit. I don't know, I don't want to psychoanalyze it. I just want to talk about the ethos of it, really, because my old Blackbird was the bike I missed the most of all the motorbikes I've owned, and I've owned loads of cool stuff, but it's also the cheapest. I got a £3 used one like everyone else, and took it to Germany 2 or 3 times. It just carved up the Black Forest. Felt so well matched with the roads in the Black Forest. Big, well-sighted sweeping bends doing 140 miles an hour or something. It was just so at home, and this kind of feels the same. But I've been riding this round the lanes of Surrey today, and it's not felt out of place. It's not felt out of place at all. This engine, it is so nice. It's so nice. It is so smooth. It's so composed, and it has got like more torque than you could ever possibly want. And a torquey 4-cylinder is just one of life's nicest feelings. Like doing overtakes at 60 miles an hour in 4th gear, barely thinking about opening the throttle. And the throttle connection on this is next level. It's a big weighty thing. It feels like it's connected by a cable. It's just it just feels like you're opening up the taps on some industrial engine when you use it. It is it's really phenomenal. And obviously you do end up going very, very fast when you start revving it out, but just in the mid-range you never need to go past 6,000 RPM. It's just big oily thing shunting you forward. And I just let my friend who is insured ride this, and I had to go on his Multistrada V2, and I could hear this through his headset. We ride with Sena headsets on. God, so fast. And whenever he was going for an overtake, the only sound I could hear of this bike through his headset in my helmet, it sounded like a jet engine. It was just like, oh, it's phenomenal. And it's like, that's the classic cliche, isn't it? High cows in a line, weird, doing a line out or something. Yeah, everyone says it's turbine smooth, but it literally sounds like a turbine, and it's just like, what? Anyway, I know I'm whittering, but that's kind of what I missed about the Blackbird. It's the only 4-cylinder bike I've ever owned, because I kind of think 4-cylinders aren't the perfect configuration for a motorbike. I know they're very smooth, but I like a bit more low down shove on the road. But this has got low down shove because it's got big cubes, not cubes, it's got big cubes. It's got big capacity engine, so it can always shove you along. And my Blackbird, I remember by the time I got rid of that, I was riding it on 60 limits in 2nd gear everywhere, kind of riding it like a 600, which is hilarious because it's just the way you ended up riding it if you wanted to really go fast. This you can just short shift everywhere, and it's got an up and down quick shifter blipper, so it does just feel like they brought this kind of bike into the 20 whatever century we're in. 21st. But you do wonder what place this plays in motorbiking in 2022, because an adventure bike is undoubtedly more suited to this sort of riding that I'm doing at the moment. It can do touring nearly as well as this. This does get a bit uncomfortable over long distances just because of my legs. I'm a bit tall for it, I think. I'm 6'3", and my knees are a bit sore after an hour or so on it. But also you end up just riding it really fast, and there's only so fast you can go around corners on the road, isn't there, because sight lines and whatnot, and the law, sorry. So it's kind of like, well, an adventure bike might be more fun, but there is something undoubtedly special about this. This rides better than many adventure bikes. I was just going down a nice straight but bumpy road at 60 miles an hour, and this was just floating across the road. It felt like I was on some rocket or an ecranoplan hovering like half a metre above a choppy sea. It was just sorting it all out, and around town it's a bit lumpier, thumpier, and you feel the weight of it. But once you're up to 60 miles an hour, this is just majestic, and there's no other word for this thing really. It just feels like part of biking royalty, and I've really enjoyed having it about. I still would rather buy an adventure bike, but having one of these in the garage, like trips to Germany and things like that, still does appeal. Stick some soft luggage on the back, and it's actually, you know, it's a reasonably comfortable riding position other than the knees. The seat is super squishy. The bars there are kind of lowish and they're quite far away, but you can rest your chest on the tank. You can just get comfy on it. Yeah. I would, if I was shopping for a Blackbird today, obviously I'd just go and buy one of these, because it's got anti-wheelie, it's got traction control, and they work overtime when you open this up. Even on a hot day like today, you can sense it's just trying to, well, not spin, but then it tries to hook up into a wheelie, and the electronics work really smoothly to keep it down. So yeah. But yeah, some of the best moments I've ever had in biking were on my Blackbird, and that bike's got a really special place in my heart. Just doing like some of the first dodgy wheelies away from peages and things like that from toll booths in France, and as I've said, just like carving through these big sweeping corners in Germany where you could see down the whole valley, just doing silly speeds. And when that thing was leant over, because it's got such a long wheelbase, it felt more stable than, well, you can't say the economy anymore, can you? It kind of means the opposite. It felt more stable than Noel Edmonds' coffee table or something, with all his own books on it. What is Noel Edmonds doing these days? Anyway. And this has the exact same feeling. It's a low bike. You sit on it, and pretty much I think anyone would be able to ride one of these, because the seat height is so low. I don't know what it is, I'll do that in the review. But yeah, it just feels very familiar. Second gear. Oh god. It's crazy fast. And I guess that's the other thing about this bike really, that's moved on since, you know, the glory days of the Booster, the Blackbird, ZZR and all that kind of stuff, is that litre bikes have overtaken them in terms of power by a pretty big weight, and they're obviously a lot lighter as well. Can't remember how heavy this is, but it's damn sure a lot heavier than an S1000RR and less powerful. So this isn't the violent aggression that if you come from a litre bike you're going to expect. So, you know, people, a reasonable amount of people I guess in the UK do go onto litre sports bikes, and if you hop onto this you'll just think it's a bit of a barge in terms of handling, although it is very good for what it is, and it's not got that same instantaneous throttle pickup, and it doesn't rev as quickly, and it's not as, you'd probably say, exciting, but it feels like the bike version of something like Bentley Continental GT. Stupidly rapid, very comfortable, and capable of crushing massive miles. But yeah, it's in the olden days this was faster than all the sports bikes because the capacity was cheating, but now everything's stupidly over square. Well, not everything's stupidly over square, but everything's very revvy. This isn't as powerful on paper, but this has got so much mid-range and so much torque that it kind of doesn't really matter, I guess. It's a different proposition. I don't know really who Suzuki's aiming this at. Quite possibly short people with tattoos all over their arms who can't get on anything taller, but no, Busa owners, I guess. But I imagine, I haven't ridden any of the previous generations of Busa, this probably feels very similar, but with electronics. And the quick shifter and the blipper and the traction control and the anti-wheelie, etc, etc. So I don't know, that's what I'm going to find out by the time I've done my review, hopefully. Whee! Anyway, I'm going to get home, try and do some more 60 limits, because this has been pretty dull so far. Oh yes, while we're here, while you're vaguely watching my whisperings about this, do check out Mr. Baron von Grumble's new thing for mental health awareness in the motorbiking arena, Permission to Talk. Basically, you can get a little sticker for free, you have to pay P&P, from 44teeth.com, and stick it on your bike, and it basically says if you're parked up at a bike meet that, you know, you're aware of mental health problems, maybe you suffer from anxiety or depression or anything like that, and you're happy to talk about it, or, you know, you want to have a chat, talk about bikes, take your mind off things. I've got one. I'm going to stick it on the top box of my KTMs. I think, as I've mentioned in videos before, I've blathered on about, you know, anxiety and stuff like that, and it's been pretty good lately, to be fair, but there are still not great days, and us blokes aren't very good at talking about stuff like that, and we should probably get better at it. Right, should we go full throttle in second gear, just do a cheeky overtake from 30 miles an hour? I think I should. That is such an addictive rush. It is such an addictive rush because this bike's so flipping aerodynamic that by the time you're into the top of second gear and into third gear, it's not remotely slowing down the rate of acceleration, so you need to be really careful. This is deeply, deeply offensive to speed limits, this bike. It is not their friend. You have to exercise some restraint, and also just be aware that you've only got an analog speedo, but it's easy to read and you kind of get used to it. But yeah, oh, even in fifth gear, sixth gear, it's just so smooth. Yeah, this bike is really all about the engine, but it's also about the aerodynamics and the riding position and the mood it puts you in. Yeah, what a thing, what a thing. It is an addictive sensation riding one of these, but it's also, it's not just about the speed, it's about the torque and the grunt. It's just easy to ride, frankly. It's a really, really lovely bike, and I see why these used to be so popular, but I would wager that most people that used to have one of these have probably reached a certain age and headed to the BMW dealership and bought a GS. Oh god, I'm going to get death threats from Hayabusa owners clubs now, aren't I? Yeah, the handling's really quite nice. It's not like it doesn't turn in fast. As I said, it just kind of rolls in and it's super stable, pretty confidence inspiring. The hero blobs on the pegs are about 2 meters long though. I'm not really sure why. Probably to stop you decking the exhausts out first, but I don't think I'm in any danger of grounding this out. Certainly when I get to corners on this, I'm kind of like, I'm like, yeah, that's fast enough around there. I don't really want to hustle it, is what I'm trying to say. No, sorry, I'm wearing jeans and a jacket. If I was wearing one-piece leathers, I might be a bit braver. I feel like I've been very unenthusiastic for the first half of this and not screaming and shouting enough. But yeah, first impressions of the Hayabusa are, it's its own thing, really. It's a nonsense to compare it to any other modern bike, because Honda's stopped making the Blackbird. There's not really any other direct competitors for it. BMW's ditched the K1300S, which was always a much more grown-up option anyway. But yeah, I'm glad Suzuki still makes this, because if I had the money to have several bikes, I would absolutely have this to tick the Hayabusa box in my garage. There's nothing else like it. I would love just to have a month to bomb around in Europe on one of these. It'd be great. I used to see lots of people commuting into London on these. It's narrow enough, I guess. It's super long wheelbase, it's stable, and obviously it doesn't matter what gear you're in, so it's nice around town as well. But anyway, I've probably been wittering a bit too much. This probably hasn't been the most exciting first impressions of a very exciting, very fast motorbike. But if it has been vaguely entertaining, useful, please hit like, and don't take your shirt off in public because it's just horrible, like that man. He probably owns that orange KTM. And I will see you next time for more motorbike nonsense, and I will do a full review of this when I get round to it. which might be a few weeks, to be honest. Oh, hello Alpina, lovely. Yeah, there's a bit more Suzuki content coming up, not just on this, but the GSX 1000 GT as well, which seems to be the most popular bike on the internet at the moment. Let's see if I like it. But anyway, that's enough from me for today. I'm going to go home and pour myself an Aperol Spritz and sit in the garden with a book. Catch you later, everyone. Bye. Bye. Thank you for watching. If you did, well done. Wasn't very exciting, was it?